All right, so we're back. Um, Now let's see where we left off. So we installed the roles of Apache, PHP, as well as General. Basically, General's it's updating the repo cache, the repository cache. So so we have Apache, PHP. So let's finish the LAMP step by installing the MySQL server. So as we did with Apache and PHP, we're going to create a folder within the roles directory. We're going to call that folder MySQL. And then within MySQL, we're going to create a task directory. Within the task directory, we're going to create a file called main.yaml. Okay, 123 to identify as a YAML file. Then we're going to provide it a name. So we're going to probably do 3 steps within this task, right? We're going to install MySQL server as well as a Python MySQL DB package. We're going to start the MySQL server and make sure it starts when we reboot the computer. The service also starts up. And then we're going to update the MySQL root password. Okay, so let's get started. So it's the name. We're going to install MySQL. Okay, and then we're gonna iterate through the installation, right? We're gonna loop through it basically because there's 2 packages we're installing. So we're gonna provide it. We're gonna use apt-get or apt as the package manager. We're gonna provide it a name equals, and then we're gonna give it a variable state. Make sure it's present. Make sure it's basically installed. Okay, and with items, then the first package. We can just give this one the Python MySQL DB, Python SQL DB, and then this one would be the MySQL server. Okay, so we're done with that task. On to the next task. The next task, we're actually going to start the service, right? So we're gonna start MySQL service, and we're going to use the service module. The name of the service is MySQL. Okay, and the state is started or restarted. Can you start it? And enabled equal yes. So it can start. Make sure it's started when the computer reboots, when the VM reboots. Okay, so we're done with that task. The next task will be update MySQL. Update MySQL. Let's just say password, even though it's too generic. It's the root password, but that's fine. Okay, so in this one, there's a built-in Ansible module called MySQL User. So that's what we're going to use. So it's a MySQL User. Okay, so what I'm going to do, there's going to be multiple ways to do this. I mean, you could just do it in line. So I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to say the name is root, right? The username is root. The host. And this one, it's going to be, I'm going to give it several variations of the host name. You know, localhost 127, web01, colon 1 for, if you want to IP6. So let's just use item. Oops, and this is going to be a string. So let's use item because that's going to be a variable. And the next one would be password. What's wrong? Oops. Yeah. Okay, so the password. Okay, so we're going to place the password in a separate file. So let's just create a variable here, call it MySQL root password. MySQL root password, save that. Let's copy this. Okay. Okay, now within the root of your directory, create a new folder, and we're going to call that folder group vars. And it's important that you name it the group vars because Ansible actually looked into this folder for a file for a group for variables. We create a file within that new folder. We're going to call it all, right? So basically, we put all our variables, if we want, into this one folder. In this case, it's just going to be for the password, the root password. So this is the password I provided. R00T admin is going to be the root password for MySQL. Okay, save that. Then the next step will be to provide the privilege. Let's give it the make sure it's implicit, right? So it's checking that the admin is implicit. So check implicit admin, just say yes. And then from here we can give the privileges. So priv star, and then we're going to provide it to all. And then grant all the permissions. Okay, we're done with that. And then from here, now we're done. We're going to have to iterate through these through this variable, right? So we're going to say with items. And then from here, that's when we can give the host names. So it'll be web01 127.0.0.1. What do we have? The then localhost. So these are all the variations of the local hosts, right? Of the local interface, right? So 127.0.0 is the loopback, localhost, web01 is the host name, and then we have this, which is basically updated version of IP. Okay, so we're done with that. We can save it. So now what we would have to do, we'd have to update the main playbook, right? And add it. So add the new row, which is MySQL. All right. So we have that. Next, we would have to run the command Ansible-playbook-I provided by the host. Host.yaml, then the playbook. Host.yaml is basically pointing to the host that we want to grant, that we want to basically provision, right? Which is, and we'd also have the password, the authentication methods, the SSH username, SSH password is stored in this file here. Okay, so hit enter and let it do its thing. So basically, it's going to go down to the first row, which is updating the cache, the repository, and then it's going to go down the list, install Apache, install the PHP dependencies, which it's not going to do anything because they already know that these modules or these packages are already installed. So it's going to look into it and say, nope, we already have it, skip it, go on to the next. So now what it is doing now is installing the last package, which is MySQL. So basically at the end, if it runs successfully, it would have only two items were changed, right? It ran the update and it installed MySQL. And then perhaps from here, when we're done, we can actually go through and install some more modules or some more packages. So it's successful, as you can see. And it updated the MySQL password and it changed these values here. So that's it for this portion. Clear the screen. Let's test it. Okay, so by running MySQL -u, provided the root, and then we're going to supply the P, right, for password. Okay, and it's saying MySQL is currently not installed. Please, interesting. Let's see what happened. Oh, duh. I'm basically trying to install, not install, but access MySQL. Remember, this is the control VM, right? We installed it on Web 01, so we would have to let's SSH into that computer. Vagrant at 168.33.11, I believe. Vagrant is the password. Yes, let's clear the screen. Let's do a MySQL. Let's just do a MySQL version first to see if it's actually installed. And it's actually, we have it in version 5. Okay. All right, so now let's do a MySQL user root P, and they'll provide a password. We get prompted. Let's install gibberish for the password. Access denied. Okay, let's run it again, and let's provide the password that we created. Basically, the password we created in this folder here in this file, which is root admin, right? Hit enter. There we go. We actually have MySQL installed. That's great. Okay. We're back into control. All right. So now I would like to task the challenge where installing a framework, the PHP framework, which in this case I would like to try out the where was it called? Laravel. Okay, so this is an excellent PHP. I've been playing with this a few months back, stopped, but it's pretty good. So we can have a framework installed, right? So let's click on installing Laravel. So there are several ways we can do it. We can just install all the dependencies, and then we can just run the command, create project, whatever. Or we can do it using the, they have right here, right? So basically they have a file you can download the Laravel binary, and you can just run the command Laravel new and then followed by the project name, right? Instead of doing it this way. So let's do it this way, okay? So it requires Composer, as you can see. Composer is a dependency, okay? So the way that we're going to install Composer, well, we can install Composer easy. They provide it. Let's do it through curl, but if we don't, I don't think we have curl installed. So let's install 3 components, right? We're going to install curl, git, and Composer. Okay. So new folder. Let's call this curl. New folder. As you can see, once you start creating, roles, it become easy, right? Because it's the same repetitive task over and over again, right? So new folder, and then we call it main.yaml, and this is for the curl, right? So curl is pretty easy, right? So we're gonna just give it a name. Basically install curl, right? And we're going to use the app package manager. We're going to say name equals curl state installed. You could say state present installed. It's one and the same. Okay, so we're done with that. Make sure we have curl here. Okay, And then what else we said? We're going to install Git, right? So Git, new folder, Git, new folder, tasks, new file, oops, main.yaml. Then we're going to provide it a name, installed Git, right? We're going to use the app package manager. So in this one, it's the same thing, name, Git, installed, what is it, name equals Git state. It's this, instead of install, let's use let's use latest, so we get the latest version. Okay, we're done with that. Make sure we add the new row. Okay, and the last row, which will be the main row, which is I'm sorry, there's two more rows. So one more row would be oops, what I just did. Yeah, that's fine. New folder. This would be the composer. New folder, task, new file, main.yaml. Okay, we're gonna do that. So this one is gonna be this is the composer part. So installed composer. This is gonna be a little different. I'm probably gonna have to go to the site to get the syntax install composer. Okay, let's just go to the site. Composer, documentation. Installing on Windows, installing on Linux. Okay. Okay, so download. No, I don't want to download. Wait a minute. Wait, where was that download? Okay, so it's going to installer. So this is the installer. Okay, okay. And copy it to this bin. Move it. All right, seems straightforward. So I can copy this link address. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a raw command, right? And I'm going to use a curl, which we just installed. Well, not yet, but once we run it, it'll be installed. Okay, pointing to that copy directory, which is they have that installer binary, right? And then I'm gonna pipe it into a sudo command, php, right? Then install directory and the file composer. Install, but I don't want to put it in dirt bin. I'll put it in user. Okay, that's same. Install local. Okay, they have install bin, install dir. Then let's put it in user local bin. Then the file name, right, is composer. And dash. Okay, so we're done with the composer part. That was pretty simple. Composer. Okay, so the next part will be the Laravel part, right? So let's new folder, Laravel, new folder, task, and then the new file, main.yaml. All right. Provide it the name. And this is not an install, right? Because we just including it, so we adding the Laravel binary. So add Laravel installer. Laravel, it's only one E, right? One L. Or binary, install binary, whatever. So this is gonna, oops, what happened here? Where is it? Okay, so we have here this command here, right? So we can just copy this command, right? Yeah. So that's basically, we're gonna do it the same way, roar, composer global. You're gonna just paste that command in, but let's just make sure we're doing it as a root, a sudo user, but we don't want to do it as a sudo. We want to do it as, we want the root. We don't want it to be installed as a root, because when you install as a root, the path of this is not going to be for the local Vagrant user. It's going to be on the root. So we're going to have to say become become user, which is the Vagrant user, right? So basically that Vagrant user is going to have sudo access up here. Okay, and then we're good to go. We have it, but we're not going to have the, okay, we're going to have to do one more thing, which is we're going to have to add the Laravel to the path, right? And this way it's not that difficult. It's basically saying here, make sure to place the home.composer vendor bin, blah blah blah, to the path, basically, right? So we're going to do exactly that. So we're going to use a built-in module called line in file. Well, basically it's basically like a reg expression, regular expression, right? So it's going to look in the file, look for a pattern, and then remove it. Well, if we provide the expression, right? Line in file, that's correct. So the destination, let's give it, and then we can provide the destination here, right? Because where is the all? Okay, so the home directory, right? Basically it's this home slash, this is only for the login Vagrant user, and it's good for that purpose, you know. Vagrant, okay, that's fine. So I named it home directory. Copy that. Oops. Right. So basically, we're gonna just put that in the as a variable, okay, instead of actually putting all this, you know, command here. Home directory slash, okay. So we basically in the home directory, and then we're going to look for a file, and which that file in Linux is going to be the bash file, the bash rc file, dot bash rc. And then now we can run the regular expression, right? Reg expression. Okay. Then we're going to just say, okay, for the export, then the path. Okay, and then we're gonna just add that path, right? The home directory path. So I'm not gonna type it in. We're gonna use the variable. Okay, and then it's gonna be followed by the install path of all of the composer, and which in Linux, at least in the Ubuntu, in the composer information on local profile, it's in the config hidden folder. It's called .config, and then within composer vendor blah blah blah. So it's .config, right? And then we're gonna want to look into another folder called Composer, and then within the Composer there's another folder called Vendor, and these forward backslashes, it's just escaping the backslashes, and so it won't you won't receive any errors. Okay, so we have the vendor, and then we're going to do it again for the bin. Okay, save that. We're done with that expression, but then we're going to say, okay, you find that, and then just do a line. Oops. Export it. Okay. Path. Home directory. It's pretty long. Once you do it though, I mean, you could just copy and paste and just save it somewhere. So basically we just actually ran that expression, and we're going to put it in the back in the file, right, once we made the changes. So that's what the home directory dot config, right, composer, oops, composer vendor bin, right, vendor bin, and then we just append the current path to it, so we won't overwrite it. Okay, save that. All right, so that looks promising. It looks good. To path, right? So the name of this is Laravel, so let's add Laravel to the last row. Oops. Save it. Okay. Now let's run it. Fingers crossed, no errors, because that took quite a long time to write up. Oh golly, receive an error in there. Of course, it's the all right, let's see what's going on. All right, it's not liking. Oh, I see some issues. Basically here, after we have the dot config, it's not. This is not the correct, right? Yeah, I think it's this way. And after the composers. Oh no, wait. So the config is correct, right? The config. Everything is laying on it. Laying on the composer is correct. Okay. Vendor. Line. Let's try it again. Still not liking it. Line in. Well, it's not liking that guy. All right, so let's see. I think it's because. What is this guy? I already provided a name. I don't think there's no need for that dash. Once it's a sub. Okay, clear that out. Run it again. Yeah, that was it. All right, so let's see what happens now. So it's going down the list. It's looking to see if I have to install any packages, in which you don't. It's going to go all the way to the bottom and install the dependencies for Laravel, which is the we add Git, Composer, curl, not curl. Why did it do the MySQL? Oh, yeah, that's an issue because the password has been set for this one. So basically, you're gonna get access denied already because we'd have to set the password. We'd have to provide the password, the current password, because it's no longer blank. So what we can do is, okay, so to get by this, let's just run the Laravel role only. Okay, so what we would have to do is the same thing we did the for the PHP, right? PHP role. So basically, we're going to give it a name, the same name, which was Laravel. Tags. Oops. Which is Laravel. Okay, save that. So, oops. What has gone on? Okay, so in this way, we just have to give the tags, the tags that we provided for that role, right? Which was Laravel. And that's it. It's going to bypass all the other roles and just run this single role. Okay, so it tried to run the role, but as you know, it requires Composer. So we basically, yeah. So okay, so let's do it another way. All right, so I'm gonna try something different. Okay. SQL. Okay, so I added that in there as well. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna run all tags, right? Except I want to skip the MySQL one. So basically go through it and skip, run everything else except MySQL. Okay, so updating the repository, updating the cache. Okay, so it looked like it, well, not yet, right? Because MySQL came after PHP. Started Apache. So it looks like it actually worked. So we skipped the MySQL role using the skipped tag parameter. Okay, so what happened here? Command not found, which is what? What command? Composer command not found. Install Composer. Composer command not found. All right, let's go through the Composer role, see what actually happened. All right, so we did a curl, https sudo installed user local bin Composer. Okay, so well, let's actually run this command, and we're in the web. Let's just see what happens. Composer, right? Let's just see what happens. Okay, so something didn't happen. There you go. It failed writing body. Okay. So that probably needed a sudo command, right? Become yes. Okay, so let's run this single command. So I'm gonna add a tag to it. Oops, I'm gonna add a tag to it so we can just run this role. skip the rest. Okay, composer. Okay, let's see what happens. Should be able to run composer, saying composer not found. Now let's do a sudo to that. Let's do a sudo. Let's make sure it's still saying writing body failed. Okay, so let's just try one more thing. Let's say it's not HTTPS, right? Let's just get rid of this. Okay, one more try. Yep, that's taking a long time just to do one thing. Must be something. Okay. I think it may be the firewall that's running on this screen. Let me just pause 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I paused the my local firewall on this computer. Let's run it again and see what happens. I'm on the control computer. Let's do install just the composer tag, just to make sure that composer. This ran pretty quickly, so it looks like it probably failed. Yeah, it failed. And then when I run this command, unless the command is incorrect, I would have to go through it again to see. Yeah, it's not liking that command. All right, let me just go through the command and see what's going on. Okay, so it seems like I did a little boo-boo here. Right after this, it requires 2 dashes, space. Okay, php -- install, then -- file name composer. Yep, run it again. Now you can see it took a little longer. Okay, so I should be able to just run composer. There we go. Good to go. All right, so let me just, and now we can do the Laravel portion of it. So we're going to run it through everything, and we're going to skip MySQL. Only for the password issue. I mean, we can go through that and figure out how to bypass that, right? Because right now the password is no longer blank. We set the password to a valid password. So now it's saying, hey, you want to reset the password? What's the current password first? You know. So installing curl, well, it's skipping these versions. It's going straight to Laravel portion. So basically, what it's doing to Laravel, it's just copying, it's downloading installing through Composer the Laravel binary. So we should be able to just run the Laravel new command and to spawn up a Laravel project. All right, so there we go. It installed the Laravel installer, or added the installer, and it added to the path, right? So we should be able to go to the web host and just run. Well, where are we? Let's just go into the Vagrant folder. As a matter of fact, let's go to what is it? var www html. Okay, what do we have in here? Okay, so now let me just run Laravel. Did I spell it incorrectly? Doesn't seem like it. So it seems like we probably didn't add it to the path. Let's see. That path was config, composer, vendor, bin, Laravel, right? So it works in that path. So let's see what we did wrong for Laravel. So it was config, okay, composer, vendor, and the bin. So we actually added the entire bin. So we should be able to run. Right, because we're not adding a specific home Vagrant. Oh, no, yeah, that's fine. Vagrant. Oh, I think I know what happened. we updated the path, right? But we actually we updated the yeah, we updated the path, but we're still in the session. So we have to basically update the session. Source it. I can't source it. Oh, okay. No, I should be able to just run Laravel. There you go. Yeah, so it was correct. It was that we could have just logged off, exit the VM, and then go back in, because basically you were in the session, the terminal session right now, and so whenever you update the path, you have to close the terminal and reopen it. But a way around that, you could just source. So it basically reloads the bash shell by running this command. Okay, so as you can see, it works fine, right? So I can do a Laravel new blog. Okay, and it requires, dependency. What else is new, right? Nothing ever runs smoothly. So it requires the zip PHP extension is not installed. All right, so I should have ran through that dependencies first, but okay, that should be an easy fix within the Laravel. Where is that guy? Oh, we're in it already. Okay. Key. It's not Laravel, it's PHP, right? So we're gonna have to install it in the PHP section. So let's do it with items here. Okay. So we're in PHP 7.1. Okay, and zip. Okay, that's fine. So in this case, let's just run the PHP. Where is that section? And we already have it. Okay, so we could just run the PHP. So basically, we just rerunning that PHP row so we can install the PHP zip extension or module. All right, it ran successfully, and you see it installed data. Okay, hopefully we do not have. Let me see. Did it PHP? PHP. Yeah. Oh, it restarted it, so that's fine. Okay, so let's try it again. Laravel new blog. Okay, what is going on? Okay, so PHP warning, failed to open stream, permission denied, home breaker, new command. Um, I'm I'm not sure why, but let's just try it. Let's try sudo Laravel new block, and it's saying Laravel is not a command. Crafting application. Okay. All right. I must be the composer that's failing. Let's see, where is it? It's owned by the root. It has reading, write, and execute. I don't know why it's doing that. Just change a plus x and see composer. Same thing. Nothing really changed. Let's try it again. Permission denied. Okay, I'm silly. I think I'm trying what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to run it in here. I don't have this, you don't have the right, you don't have permissions to run it in here, which is why you're supposed to, you can run all your commands in here, right? So let's try it again. Okay. So it ran the file, but it's saying I'm missing a whole lot of requirements. Requirements cannot be resolved to an installable set of packages. Yep. So I'm missing a whole lot. All right, so I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna go down this list, and I'm going to enable these packages or modules. Okay, so I paused the video and I corrected the issues with the dependencies. So back in the PHP task, let's maximize this. I added the required dependencies. So I added this 304 dependencies: encrypt, PHP 7 encrypt, PHP MB string, and the DOM. I also added, oops, spelled it incorrectly. Enabled encrypt module. So basically, it's gonna PHP enable this encrypt in the on the PHP side of it. So if you want to go ahead to add that into your task, go ahead and do so. So that this will actually fix the problem. Okay. So let's go back to the control, and right now the only thing that will be running is the PHP section, because that's the only section we care about with the as far as Laravel. Oh, I'm sorry. Why did I do it? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, because we actually installing the extra modules, so we have to run that role. So once that's once we install the dependencies, which was 5 here, we could go back into the web VM, and we right now we're within the Vagrant shared directory, which is the directory located in the on your host machine. Okay, so basically, to start a new Laravel project, you would just hit Laravel or you would type Laravel new and then the name of the project. You could name it whatever you like. You could just name it blog, whatever, and hit enter. And what's going to do, it's going to download the actual Laravel framework. And that's what it's doing. It's downloading the framework and all its dependencies onto your local machine. So I'm going to pause this. Once the download is complete, we can resume. All right, so it's done. So we can cd into that new directory, which was blocked, and we can ls into it and see what's going on. So we have the all the files that's required. Now we can just use PHP's local, server to launch it, just for testing. Or we can go ahead and create virtual hosts within Apache and so forth. This video is getting a bit long, so we're just gonna make sure that the Laravel is working by just using the built-in server. Okay, so we can run PHP artisan serve. Okay, so this command will actually spawn up the server, the local Laravel server. So let me just do hosts, so I can actually get to it from the outside. Okay. Okay. Good. So now, what was this? It was 192.168.33.11. Was it .11? Let's try it again. HTTP 192.168.33.11. Okay. .11. Oh, that's the main. Okay, that's the main. But if you look here, it started at port 8000. So we'd have to give it 8000. And there you go. We have Laravel successfully installed. So we set up Laravel using Ansible. We can use the same scripts, the same roles. You can push it out onto other machines. Let's break out of that. Instead of actually, doing it this way, by just running, specific tag. If we actually destroyed this VM and started all over again, we can just run this command and it would go through all the roles as is. But it's helpful when you could just run and skip certain tasks, like we ran into that issue with the MySQL, since the password was already set and we couldn't get into it because we had to provide the password and so forth. So we could skip certain roles if we want to, or we can just run certain roles and bypassing all the others, or we can just go ahead and just run the entire playbook. All right, guys, until the next time, I probably would take this entire series, what we did so far with the Ansible, and then we could probably just create, I'm sorry about that noise, and we could just probably create a actual ISO from it, right? So we can actually create our own a virtual box, and then we can just throw it up in the Vagrant cloud or whatever, and we can have our box for future references and so forth. All right, until the next time.